Welcome back, fellow YouTube family. This is my channel, Survive and Thrive. And today I wanted to spend some time talking about one stock ticker in particular, and that is MGM Grand, or MGM Resorts, ticker MGM. If you don't know anything about the resorts or hotels that they operate or own, they actually have 29 hotel locations within the United States and Macau in China. And some of the most recognizable in the industry are the Bellagio, MGM Grand area, and Park MGM. MGM is currently pursuing targeted expansion in Asia, as it states here, through their integrated resort opportunities in Japan, which would help to bolster their overall revenue and holdings across the globe and allow them to continue to expand their overall business and creating more lucrative opportunities for themselves. As you can see on this map, there's actually 13 of those 29 hotels that they own are here on the Strip in Las Vegas. You see a lot of these names: Luxor, Mandalay Bay, Bellagio, The Mirage, New York, Excalibur. Those are a lot of hotels that have been on the Strip for a very long time. So you know MGM Resorts is well established. And with the way that they're set up with having ownership of so many different hotels on the Strip, they're able to create a rewards program, which is called M Life Rewards. And I'll go into that in a little more detail as I get further into covering some of the business opportunities that MGM has now and in the near future. With MGM, this is a stock that I ended up buying into when the pandemic hit. It was around $8 or $9 per share. If I would have known what I know now, I would have bought a lot more and created a much bigger holding. But there was a lot of speculation at that time about how much cash they had to be able to weather the global impacts. And so I created a position that was small, but like I said, I really should have went in with a little bit more conviction, because as I'll show you here, MGM has not only rebounded to their pre-pandemic price per share valuation, but they're actually above it. In this article in the NASDAQ from December 10th, 2020, can MGM Resorts make a quick rebound in 2021? So although MGM is a global operator, they're much less exposed to the Macau market than either Las Vegas Sands or Wynn Resorts. Pre-pandemic, China represented only about 22% of total revenue for MGM, which in comparison to MGM's peers, which represented about 60 to 70% of their total revenue. And so back at that time, with China not being able to bounce back as quickly as everybody thought, it was speculated that the Sands and Wynn would suffer more due to the delay, and that MGM would emerge unscathed. Also, they were talking about another catalyst was being able to get the vaccine distribution out quickly and administered efficiently, which would allow professional sports to resume with their normal season play. MGM had spent a lot of time amassing properties, partnerships in key sports markets, and during the pandemic, sports betting, especially online, was a very bright spot within their industry and helped them to weather the storm. With more states legalizing online gambling and sports wagering, their new division, BetMGM, is going to definitely be a premier player within the market. And this is something that it does appear to already be happening and creating a very good upside for MGM and their stock. And I'll show you that here in a little bit, how it's impacted their valuation. So as you can see here, there's been a big focus on their online sports betting with BetMGM. They've got it set up as a mobile app so that when you're in the state of Nevada, you can actually access online betting as opposed to standing in line and trying to make a bet. So it's very user-friendly, ease of access, and creates an easy means for anybody who's there at the Strip during their vacation to be able to make bets, as well as locals. I know that there's a lot of people who are excited to make it back to the Strip, as Las Vegas is a very popular place that people like to go to for vacation with friends and family and for all sorts of events, whether somebody's just going for 2 or 3 days for a longer weekend or a whole week. There's been a lot of talk from the governor of Nevada saying that their plan is to open by June 1st. So I think that's going to be yet another catalyst to start seeing MGM resorts have more customers, hotel stays, and incoming revenue. Diving a little deeper into BetMGM, as you see in this article here in Investors Business Daily, MGM Resorts sees massive growth from its DraftKings rival. And MGM is saying that its online betting app is on track to grab up to 25% of market share long term and rake in $1 billion in net revenue by 2022. That $1 billion forecast for next year is up sharply from the $178 million in revenue last year, as well as Wall Street estimates for $500 million this year. In Q1 alone, BetMGM had a revenue of $163 million, which is up 430% from a year ago and 114% from Q4. They've also noted that New York has approved online sports wagering and that the state's gaming commission will take bids and choose 2 platform providers with the option of adding more. The CEO for MGM, Adam Greenblatt, said at the Investor Day that he sees a path to market in New York. And he also said that MGM's efforts to focus on online betting is starting to bear fruit. I think if this is accurate in terms of what they're speculating they can bring in income for 2022, that there will be some good upside potential for anybody who's a shareholder and has a decent position with MGM Resorts. As you can see here in the financials, from 2017 to 2020, they were ranging anywhere from 10 to almost 13 billion, with their biggest hit in 2020 at just over 5 billion, which was a 59, almost 60% decrease in their sales growth. Looking at their current share valuation, they're valued at $41.51 per share. They do pay a dividend, but it's very small and not really worth mentioning at 0.02%. But I think if you look here on the historical chart, you can see that as you move through time, their all-time high is in the $90 range. And right around that 2008 recession, the stock really plummeted down as low as just under $8. And then as we moved along the timeline, you can see where they drop again. So just before the pandemic hit, they were at $32 a share. And then later in March, when I bought, it dropped down to that $9 or $10 range. So like I said, with this current price per share at just over $40, they've more than made up from where they were pre-pandemic. And I still see that they probably have some upside. Now, by how much? If we go and take a look at the analyst research, you'll see that they're showing the average price target at $40 with an implied upside of 20% to $50. And so while this isn't a huge increase in price per share, depending on the size of your holdings, you could make some decent gains. And so if this is one that you're thinking of selling, I would probably wait to see if you can ride the valuation up for a little longer, as there are some of these catalysts like I talked about that I think are going to move the share price up. And even if you don't have a position, it might be worthwhile to buy some shares. Obviously, do your own research and diligence in making sure you understand how this company operates and where they are with their financials, but I still think there is an opportunity for you to make some good gains. If you don't have a position, it might be good for you to wait, because next Wednesday, April 28th, MGM is going to actually have their financial results for the first quarter of 2021, and that'll really show everybody where they're at for this year and where they might end up by the end of the year. And that'll give you a good way to check against their revenue year to year from years past compared to this year. And that'll be something that Wall Street investors will definitely be taking a hard look at to see if their valuation changes. And if earnings don't come in as high as everybody had hoped, then there could be a correction to the share valuation, which could create a dip and good buying opportunity if you want to add to your position or if you have no position at all. I think MGM is a very well-established company within Las Vegas, and there's going to be a lot of upside with people coming back to the Strip and spending more money there, staying in the hotels, creating more revenue for MGM, as well as their online betting app, Bet MGM, and being able to expand that into not only Nevada, but potentially other states, starting with New York. There's also opportunity for them to continue to expand in Japan, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video. So with all of those catalysts, I really do think that that $50 share price within the next 12 months is very attainable. And there is a likelihood, if everything continues to create momentum for them, they could be over that share price in the next year. That's all I wanted to cover for today. If MGM is a company that you have stock ownership in, I would love to hear comments back from you on your thoughts about where you think this company is headed in terms of share price within the next year. If you got value out of this video, definitely hit that like button. And for more free education and future content that I'll be uploading week to week, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on that bell to be notified of new content as it's uploaded. As always, make it a great week. Buy and hold for the long term. Look for those opportunities to create your financial freedom. And don't just survive, thrive.